All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome and good morning, TGIF.
Weekly candle closes today. You think we're going to have a good day today, Tracker?
I certainly hope so. Now, sometimes you have a theme of the day where, like, if it started off red and it's just been red, they want to end the whole day red. It can't recover much. Sometimes weeks can be like that too. But I would love to see a bounce right about now.
Yeah, I mean, pre-market was green yesterday and then ended up kind of red, except for the IWM actually closed a little bit green yesterday. So, yeah, I guess I'll just jump right into it since we're getting into the heat of things. So with the IWM here, nothing has changed. Like, look at this: 3 weeks in a row, week over week over week. It's been holding this 219.79. So even with all this panic for the last week and a half, 3 weeks, whatever you want to call it, it's still just building a base on top of that. And not only that, it's still kind of trying to fight this baseline as well at 220.84. So really watching both of those numbers for the IWM, and this is looking like a good development for trying to build a base at maybe what was a previous resistance level right here. Now it's trying to flip to a support. So this is looking actually pretty bullish, right? And we
I
can
have
see
a comment about
what,
that too. Before you switch over, I
yeah,
just want to say, my pattern recognition brain sees those two stars, those last two candlesticks, kind of like the morning star thing, but if they're on the top, it's bearish. But they look like
yeah,
they're on the
well,
bottom, so it would be bullish if we got a third week that gave us another star that was just a little higher than this week's, about the same as the previous
yeah,
week's.
yeah, it could be a morning star, but it has to go up quite a bit, I think, today for that to happen. Yeah. We'll see. But this is, yeah, it's not a bearish formation at all. Like people say, oh, it keeps on testing support. So the more times it tests, it's going to break. Well, not really, because this is a pretty strong resistance level in the past right here. And it's just back testing that level. So in a bearish structure, I would say, yeah, it has a good chance of breaking. But in a bullish structure, I think it has a good chance of holding because it was a previous resistance zone. So with that said, let's go to QQQ. And is this a bearish formation going on here? Not really, because it's still holding the linear scale 504, right? It's still holding that 504. And even on log scale, there's more support at that 497 below, which actually is even a better support because it was a little bit lower with all this resistance here. So flipping that to a support. So even if it does lose this conversion line this week, which it is going to open up pre-market above it, right? So we can't really assume it's going to close below because the week's not over yet. But even if it does, a simple back test, just like the IWM or whatever, is not even a big deal at all. And SPY, everybody thinks it's going to roll over and die. Well, I'm just looking, I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, well, it's holding the 585. It basically went back down yesterday to retest the lows and go just a little bit lower than it was on the week of the 16th of December. And it still has the potential to even close back above this 1.618 that I've been talking about for months. So this 585.38 is still support until it's not, right? And it's never closed a weekly candle above it since it broke out above. And today is the weekly candle close. So if it closes today above, then guess what? This is still holding support just fine, and it's not ready to go lower. But even if it did wanted to go lower, that is still bullish because this would also be a previous resistance zone retesting support in the 560s. So it's all about perspective, guys. And this is a bullish market formation. And bullish market formations has pullbacks, and that means there's nothing to worry about. And this is not how bear markets look, right? Bear markets look bad when they start going under weekly clouds and keep breaking levels and so on and so forth. So bullish for everything here, including Tesla. And with that said, I guess we can jump into Tesla since everybody's worried about it. You just
Sure.
did a live stream about it.
I did. I had an idea. I had a revelation this morning that kind of changed the way I look at the whole chart structure. But
All right.
I
I'm
want
curious about hearing it. Yeah, but I'll just do this real quick. before you do that, and I want to show you this linear scale fib, the 378.85. This is the level I'm really watching for the weekly candle close, and this is so far just a breakout and a back test of that zone, right? People are all worried about, oh, look at the monthly candle. It's like a spinning top or whatever you want to call it. But also, it's the highest monthly candle close ever. So it's like, how is that bearish?
Yeah.
and then I pointed out on X yesterday the other fibs that I drew, and I also wanted to show you the angles. I'm bringing that chart back. I thought I wasn't going to use it before, but I'm bringing it back right here. And it's backtesting this blue angle, which coincides with this 1.618 to 374.48. And what is that 1.618? What you ask? Well, it is this 2021 January high and just the March 21 low. And the reason why I'm using this is because it has more data than the all-time high and all-time low. And also, when you take off everything here, you can see how symmetrical it really is, right? You can see how beautiful this chart has worked out. And when you go to the monthly chart, you can see it even better, right? You can see that this 1.618 was the all-time high because only one monthly candle closed above it. And basically now on a month-to-month basis, it's a breakout and now a back test on a monthly candle of this 1.618. So it's just looking like a nice chart to me. And this zone, especially when I bring back this angle, there's so much confluence, right? There's this 1.618 to 374.48. There's this blue angle sloping down, which was really important. And how do we know that? Because all of these angles were important, right? This blue angle right here sloping down, it was a major resistance. Then it broke. Then it backtested. Then this one was a resistance. Then it broke. Then this one sloping down was a resistance. And then it kind of flipped to a support. So now it's just backtesting this zone. And it looks like it has a really good possibility to hold. So I'm not going to assume lower, like maybe if it wants to go down to the 330s here. I'm not going to assume that or the 350s yet until this level breaks. So it's just about one level at a time. And so far, this 370 level on log scale, on linear scale, on every scale I look at, looks like just a beautiful breakout and back test. And the one thing I didn't mention yesterday was this is spending 5 weekly candles in a row above this 374. Right here, there's only 2 candles at the all-time high that spent above it, right? There's this one, and there's this little green one too. The rest ones did not close above that level at all. And now we have 5 weeks in a row that looks like it wants to close above that level. So this is something that is kind of the definition of a breakout and a back test building a base on top of a previous all-time high. So with that said, I digress.
One day I'd love to do a show where we just talk about the theory behind and the majesty behind GAN. I'd just love to pick your brain about GAN charting in general.
Yeah,
but that's not today. Anyway.
It's just throughout time, price follows symmetry, and these angles they go into infinity, right? So they really don't ever have to change. Well, the upward sloping, like downward sloping, if they go to infinity, then the stock goes to zero, right? But, but yeah, it's just they can follow the symmetry forever, right? Forever and ever and ever, and that's just the symmetry that W.D. Gann has discovered in his life. So he has a very interesting books out there. I think people would enjoy reading them.
All right. Well, let me. I'll try to take the whole. I did like a 13-minute video about Tesla before the show, so I wouldn't take up 13 minutes of your time here. First off, this is what I'm trying to tell you about. On your IWM chart, I took a screenshot of it. I think that maybe these 2 candles. I'm just seeing if we got another week that looked like that. That could look like the rising star pattern, but reversed, so it would be bullish. Anyway, that's what I was trying to picture. For $1,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it.
All right. So you've seen me talk about this before with Tesla from 2021. I'm sorry, from 2021 to 2022. This pattern here, I believe, is identical. It's just it was a fractal that was foreshadowing what would happen here. And so now, based on if I just do a retracement from the 179.83 bottom here to the 300 top here and then extend. It went to 195.07% for 414.50 off these two. So if we get the same thing off of this 101.81 low, retracing through the 414.50 high, 195% is $717.77. I'm sorry, $711.77. So I think I had pulled this a few times before, and I kept coming up with before I was coming up with July 18th of 2025. It might be delaying a little bit, but let's see if we still can't get there. Information about today on the way to get to the 700 and 1177 or 710.59, which I got written here. So this smaller structure I was looking for off of the 138.80 low. Well, actually off of the 101 low. Here's the wave start, wave 1, wave 2. Now we're in wave 3, and then that in itself is broken up into a 5-wave structure. And so here's 1, 2, and based on this going to 70, I'm sorry, this went to 61.8 to 236. I was expecting 1236, and we got, it was truncated, and we never hit it. So I just thought that this move here was an oscillation on the way to get to 383.64, and then we were going to get 290. But no, it truncated both ways. This is the revelation I saw. I looked at this, like I said, oh no, this is it. This was my 123.764. It just didn't go as high, and then it didn't go as low. And so now from here, ever since this 302.71, we've been in the wave 5 of this wave 3. And I don't think it's done here yet. In fact, I think the whole pattern has just grown again. So once again, I take this 302.70 low as the wave start, and then the 488.54 we just hit, and then yesterday afternoons, like at noon just about, we hit 372.95, and so this becomes wave start, wave 1, wave 2, and now we're in wave 3 of this wave 5, and I'm looking for, this is what the ABC retrace might look like, but you know, let's just, I'm just gonna get rid of this for now. We'll get rid of that. Actually, no, I can use that later, but let's just get rid of this. So basically it goes, oh, here, they're way over here. So now I think from down here, it could go to 618.236. That's 487, back to 417. Oh my gosh. And then 602 for the 123.6. Maybe it gets truncated again like it did before. If it did, it would be like 590, 535. And then now we're passing my 711 target, but that's okay. Maybe this truncates too. But this could take us up to 788.58. This new 5-wave structure that is forming now based off this being a larger 1-2. Whenever I see a huge drop like this, right, it's not big enough to be an ABC for this entire structure. It's not big enough for that, but it is big enough for it to be the 1-2 of the final 5th wave going up into 2025 for Tesla, which is, again, I'll just say it one more time. And I'm going to publish this chart, a static version of this chart for everyone to see with all the numbers, all the prices written into it. But it ends either 710.59 or 711, whatever I had over here, 711.77, or it ends closer to 788.58 right here. That's it. That's sorry. That at least it wasn't 13 minutes long. I think I got it done in what, 4 minutes.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So that's what I see now, based on this big corrective move that we just had, that is scaring the bejesus out of everyone and making people think it's going to go back to 100 or 80 or whatever it is that Kevin thinks it's going to go to.
Yeah. No, I think
okay.
Yeah, I think Tesla is just in the process of backtesting the previous all-time high range, and the reason why the previous all-time high range is pretty wide is because weekly candles are pretty wide back then, right? It was very volatile back then from the highs to the lows, and very few weekly candles closed near the 400s. So people need to understand that because of that, they can go to the lower weekly candle range. And I think that's clear when we look at this chart, right? We can see this chart on a weekly candle basis. Like, look at how many candles actually closed at the $400 range. Basically, only one, right? Only one candle last time closed at 400. Everything else closed in the 370 or lower range. So it's just back testing that range, right? This is all previous all-time highs because there's only one candle that went up there, right? Only one. So there we go. Nothing to worry about. Just a normal back test so far. And can it go lower? I'm sure people were going to say yes. And yes, I think it is possible because nothing is impossible with Tesla. It's just you can't speak in absolutes with Tesla. But I am all about confirmation, and if it proves to me it wants to go lower, and so far it's just proving that it wants to backtest this 370 level from 370. What did it go down to? 373 to the 378 level, right? So basically, I'm not going to assume lower until this 370 level is broken, and maybe not even 378. Maybe this 374.48 is broken, right? Until that's broken, then I'm not going to assume lower. Otherwise, it's fine. So there we go. With that said, I think it's time to move on, right? That was a long time talking.
Everyone else in the chat is eager to move on. Let's see.
I see some crypto requests right there for ADA. I can just talk about ADA real quick.
I'll get Rocket Labs.
Yeah, you can get Rocket Labs ready. Yeah, so ADA, let me just pull up my chart for that. And all of altcoins look super good with their backtest completed as well. And see, this is something that is normal for all markets. Look at ADA, perfect breakout, perfect backtest. People thought it was going to go lower, right? But no, it just backtested this wick down to the previous highs over here. And it held this 50% level. And now it's getting back above the angle, above the arc, and it's going back towards the 618. So 112.88 is really the target to get back above in order to go higher. So that's the number to focus on for ADA. But almost all crypto looks like this, guys. It's a big breakout, it's a big back test, and things are going higher. And stocks are kind of like trading with the volatility of a lot of crypto now too. There's just a lot of liquidity in the market, so it's just easy to go up and down all the time. So this is normal for stocks and crypto now to be very, very volatile. And it's the volatility is actually how you make a lot of money if you learn to stop buying resistance.
Yep. And so it generates all that energy. You know, the volatility, the energy is what propels it higher. You have to coil the spring.
That is correct. All right, you got some Rocket Lab for us?
Yeah, I got Rocket Lab here for everyone. It's the same technical chart that I've been having. If I just go off the 412 low to this 25-cent high, $18.32 higher low, and we get the 618. It almost made the 236, and so the in fact, I kind of counted as it held up the. I have to move this. Let's move this a little bit. So let's go for 1236 764 2236. That's a kind of a downgrade on targets for Rocket Lab. And also I noticed that it is taking longer to build a base here. So that is delaying my timing target. So I'll have to move this out a little bit to kind of follow with the Ichimoku cloud. So turned off my 2236 to make the chart look less busy for other people. There we go. But now I have to bring it back. The 2236, I just about nailed it right there. 764. So get your screenshot ready. 5740. All right, here's my updated Rocket Lab chart. I think it'll go from where price is right now. 128% higher to 5740 in 5 waves. After 3903 would be my next target. Well, Rocket Lab. That's it. It's just, it's building its base here before it can move on a little higher. It might look for one last liquidity grab. Maybe it will run down to 382 one more time to 23.34 before it takes off. But not that it has to.
Yeah, for me, I just think as long as it stays above 23, it looks pretty good. So, and it's doing that pretty well. So that's my focus with that one. And I see a request for KULR, so I'll jump into that one. And the previous all-time high got rejected for KULR. So right there at the July 2018 high, got rejected. So now it's coming back down. It's even breaking below the 886 now. So let's see how the weekly candle closes today, if it can actually close back above this 320. If it closes back above that 320, then I think it has potential to maybe just stay around that level. But if not, there is a lot more support at this 786. And the reason why is because, look, it was a previous resistance here. It was a previous resistance in 2020 of June, right? And it was look at all this consolidation at that 786 down there. So I think that could be the ultimate target for KULR. So this is why every time a stock breaks out like this, I get so many chart requests like, oh, I want to buy. But this is how people get trapped. They get trapped by getting too excited by all these green candles. And now it's in the process of retracing. So now what? Is this chart automatically bearish that it's retracing? No, it's not. All right. It's just doing what Tesla is doing, what SPY, what everything's doing, what altcoins already did. It's just back testing levels, and I think the back test can go down to the 217 level because there's a lot of activity at that zone in the past. So don't be too scared, but don't also be greedy at resistance.
Let's see. I do have QSI for people here. Just trying to fix this right here. Okay. Quantum SI Incorporated, which is not a quantum play. I think this one does batteries. It's funny. There's a whole bunch of quantum named stocks that I thought they were quantum plays. They're not. They're just batteries. Off of this wave 5 move down here from the $1.11 low. Actually, it's way back here. Anyway, here's my wave 1, wave 2, and now the subwave 3 is working on going to $6.34 next, is the way I see it. It's really filling this out fast. Once again, I noticed there's a possibility I could count this as a new wave start, where this is your wave start, your 1, your 2, and then that actually brings us to this extended chart. So I'll be watching this carefully. After hitting somewhere 620 is what I expect. If it gets out of hand, it could melt up to as high as $7.23. But initially, I'll just look for this 634, and then watch how low it retraces. If we don't get a full retracement, that ABC is all the way back into this zone from 434 to. If it truncates and creates a new support level right over $5.49, well, then this will actually go even higher to 965 next. I'll be watching that carefully, but your next resistance target should be eyeing $6.34. And that is QSI. It's been going gangbusters. You can see on the MCDX Plus, it's just been red candle after red candle for a while. The whales and bankers are definitely buying.
Yeah, they are. Let's see. MicroStrategy, I see that request. So my focus is if it wants to retest this 2.272 fib extension from the high back here in January or February 2021, if it wants to backtest that or not, right? So there is a gap here still. We got to keep that in mind. But I think that all depends on if Bitcoin goes back and retests like the lower 90s again. So we'll see, right? It's a breakout. It got rejected at the 3.618 and even the full extension up there. But all it's doing is going back down to the linear scale. See, this is linear scale, and this is the 281.87. So this is something that we got to pay attention to. And if it does retest it, is it bearish? No. It's just a breakout and a back test, right? This is a normal process for all stocks for a bullish structure, right? It's still a higher low than way down here. It's just a beautiful structure. And I think once it builds a base in this zone here, I think it has potential to go higher. And yes, before that, I thought it was going to hold this 322, right? I thought that level was going to hold week over week, but it did not. Decided to get the liquidity down here. But even though it decides to go lower, that's still not a bearish situation. It's just how I trade is I didn't assume lower until this level broke. And once that level broke, I'm like, okay, the next target is right here. And this should be an awesome support zone because it's a gap fill, right? It's a gap fill, and I think it has potential to have staying power. So most of the bad news or most of the downward price action is already priced in the equation. So this is looking like everything is close to a support, and even this $300 level has potential to hold for a bullish continuation higher in the future. But maybe not right away. Maybe just kind of build a base in this zone before going higher.
Yep. And then I'd like to share my MicroStrategy chart because basically that whole fifth wave melt up and then this ABC down we've been experiencing or finishing up maybe, this whole thing becomes a larger degree 1-2. This just tells me how bullish we should be on Bitcoin and how bullish we should be on MicroStrategy. All this is the wave 1, wave 2, and now we're going to a new wave 3 that goes. That's why I've got these people say, I've seen people say they're my insane fantasy targets, right? But this is just how these things build. So based off of the high of 548.20, and then if we, let's see, the lowest we had now is 285.01. If that holds, I just have to move this number right there. And so now subwave 1 of 3 goes to 711.97, back to 506 or by 507, up to 1,045.840, and then finally 1,584 now. That's how these things just get enormous. So yeah, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. I don't think this is going to just melt away to nothing. I've had some people tell me. Anyway, I won't go into that. That's it. That's my MicroStrategy. I just see
Bitcoin,
this.
I think.
Yeah.
No, I just think Bitcoin is cooling off a little bit because it's the altcoins are kind of performing well too. So just money is flowing into altcoins now while Bitcoin cools off, while MicroStrategy cools off, like all those cool off. So I think it's just a point that we have to understand, right? We need to understand that nothing goes up in a straight line, and backtests are a part of a bullish market structure. And with that said, I'm going to do a few more crypto that I see here. I see Ethereum. All right, let me just go to my Ethereum chart. There we go. So here's my Ethereum chart, and this is another example of a bullish chart. So it's now getting back above that 786 from the high, the all-time high, to the low back in June of 2022, and it's holding this angle, right? So this symmetry is really beautiful too because it did spend a lot of time around this zone. Sure, it wasn't always on top of it, but I guess there was always just a lot of liquidity underneath that was grabbing that. So basically, it was a breakout, and it got rejected by the 886 right here, the 4006, and now it's a back test, and now it's back above the 786. And so this one had multiple back tests of this zone, and now it looks like it's on a path to go towards all-time highs at 48.68. So I think once it breaks that, it can go much higher to the 68s and beyond. And I see one for Velo as well. And Velo, same situation with that one, holding this angle perfectly, which is a previous resistance right here. Breakout, and it's trying to flip it to support. So it has been, right? It's spending the last 5 weeks on top of this angle, which if that continues, it's going to just continue to build a base and go to the 0.044 and then go much higher. So these charts, almost every altcoin looks beautiful right now because it looks like their back tests have been completed, and people are freaking out about Tesla and others, but their back tests have just started. So eventually they will recover and they will look beautiful once again. So good things to come for altcoins, good things to come for all stocks, in my opinion, too.
Indeed. I'm jotting down all the ones that we didn't get to, that we haven't gotten to cover yet. After the show, I'll cover them in a separate show or something. Anyway, here's my KULR chart. This one grew because originally I had this as my AB12, but now I've scaled it up again because we had such a big retrace on KULR. This is now my AB12. And so with this being the wave 1 top and this being the wave 2 bottom, the wave 3 sub 1 is now targeting $7.09. Here, I'm sorry, I had to size for a post to my phone. Every time I do that, they get really small. Here's the whole chart if you want to take a screenshot of this. Yeah, so I see going to $7.09 next, back to $4.99, up to $10.48, back to $8.38, and up to $15.96 for the 23.2% fib extension. KULR, it's just getting bigger. Not done yet. And thank you. I just want to acknowledge, thank you, Jim, for keeping me correct. QSI is biotech and QS is battery. They're just so similarly named, it's hard to keep them straight in my head. And I'll do all those charts after the show.
All right, so let's jump into, I see a PayPal. So here's my PayPal chart with the fibs, and it already backtested this 236 down here, the 7715. The 7715. So it broke out. It already backtested nice with the bearish candle, then a bullish engulfing directly following, and then it went up to the arcs here, got rejected. So now it's coming back down. And where is it coming back down to? It's coming back down to the conversion line of the Ichimoku, and that's 85.33. It already wicked through it yesterday, so this has potential to hold right there. So that 85.33 is the only number that I'm looking at for continued support, because if it stays on top of this conversion line, then yes, it can go higher. But ultimately, my target is at least $100 in the shorter term. I think it can break through this Gann arc and it can get up to that $100 level. So bullish chart, but we got to pay attention to that 85.33. If weekly candles start to close below it, then there's a possibility to consolidate lower. So that's why it's always about one level at a time. And so far, this level is holding nicely as support.
Yep. You don't have to show my PayPal chart, but I'll just say I'm expecting 101.48 next for the wave 5 top.
Yeah, that's almost back to the 100 that I said.
Confluence.
Confluence. And I'll just jump into SMCI real quick, and then I'll let you do some. So SMCI, I don't like it anymore. I actually sold it before the end of the year and took the tax loss harvesting right there. But does it have a chance to hold? Yes, right. And the reason why it has a chance to hold is because of this previous resistance zone right here. Just right here. It has the potential to actually just flip that now to a support with this liquidity grab underneath. So it's not dead yet, but it's underneath a lot of indicators. And I don't like when things are underneath a lot of indicators, because that just means it's a very big loss of momentum. And I think that once it kind of broke through the cloud, it just broke down, right? And this is kind of how bearish structures start, right? They break through the cloud, then they go up and retest it, then they go huge bearish engulfing, and they go lower. So this is like the warning sign for everybody right here, and none of the other stocks are doing that except for MicroStrategy, Super Micro Computer, SMCI. So what I see now as possible is, if it can't get back above this 32.63 or this arc right here, then it's probably going to go down back to the 20s again, right? Back down to the 20s zone one more time and see if that holds. If it doesn't hold, then it's going to go much lower. But if it does hold, it has a chance to recover, right? It's in a support zone, a high time frame support zone, so it has potential, but I don't like it anymore just because it's underneath a lot of indicators, and there's really no catalyst for it to go higher at the moment.
I guess I've got a fantasy target for Super Microcomputer. Just watch the MCDX Plus down here, I guess I'll be watching it if the institutions come back and start buying it up again. But right now, if you just look at the all-time high of 122.90, and then this low of 17.25, an ABC retrace could look like 382.236. Oh, I think I had something like this. I was looking at maybe doing almost a 50%. And so like right now, when it hit that 48.18 high, it was kind of foreshadowing maybe the being support later. So it's resistance now. It's just a matter of you can, watch the whales. If price can get back over this Ichimoku line around 32 and start to build up higher, I think these targets 57.50, 42, and then 82.51 would get it back over the cloud. But as Matt said, there's probably better charts out there right now because it's still these are weekly candlesticks, just like Matt's got.
Yeah. So I just like better charts now, or other charts now. So my focus is no longer SMCI. I moved on.
Moved on.
Well, I'll let you do one more tracker. So we'll let I got to get to my other live stream.
I'll do IONQ, and then I've been jotting down all the charts that we didn't do yet, and I'll try to do something for you guys after the show.
And Andy, I already charted ETH. You can go back and look at it just like a few minutes ago.
Yep. So it's the IONQ. I see it as being just finishing out this wave 2 still. I think that was the big liquidity grab right there, where I went back and checked out the 8-hour baseline, and now it's just trying to get back the conversion line. $62.30 is my 138.2% fib target above, with a test back to 52.83, and then finally tops out at 87.08 for IONQ. And you can see it's done a pretty good job of the 764, almost hit the 382 right here. Yeah, but that's close enough. That's it. That's my out there. You can take your screenshot if you want. Just need to see some more whales buying down here on the MCDX Plus. All right. Well, Matt, thanks so much. We'll have to talk later about doing a special show about GAN theory, because I think it'd be educational. I mean, you've got coursework and stuff on your Patreon.
Yeah.
But it'd just be kind of a cool way to bring in more interest in what you do to a larger audience that doesn't subscribe to you yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people need to understand that markets, they follow a lot of symmetry throughout time. And the more people realize that, then the less noise you can tune out.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to educate the people on, so that they'll stop following the likes of Meet Kevin and what Gary Black has become, and all those other naysayers out there.
Or Ross Gerber, yes.
Ross Gerber, there you go. That was the one I was looking for, Ross Gerber.
Yes.
All right, well, have a fantastic Friday, everybody. Good luck out there today.
Yes, good luck, everybody.
Fingers crossed for a bounce. Everything looks like it could use a bounce.
Yep. All right, guys, take care.
Bye, Matt.